Hello and welcome to Podcas. I'm Cassie, your host, and I am really excited to be chatting today about your identity, about my identity, about all of our identities, and what it really means to kind of like look at who you are and maybe make some shifts in a direction that will help. So by the end of this video slash podcast recording that you are listening to, my goal is for you to be able to have a better grip on what in your life is serving you and what maybe is not, and how you can let go of that and transmute any negativity into something that will work for you. So this can be a really transformational video slash podcast. And obviously I say video slash podcast because I'm recording this live on YouTube, as I always do my episodes. So I would love for anyone and everyone to join along, and you can even chat with me. Or you can listen to this, and you might be listening to this later on, which is on my recorded, any platform where you can listen to your podcast. So with that being said too, I would love a thumbs up, a subscription, a review, anything that will help my channel get a little bit more action, reach more people, because my mission is to up-level the consciousness of the collective and to impact as many souls as I can in order to really make these ripple effects that I am planning to make during this lifetime. So I thank you for all of your support. Now let's get into it. Okay, so your identity, is it effing you over? How do you know if it is? And what does that even mean? Well, your identity is who you identify as. It has everything to do with your personality, with your habits, with your thought patterns, with any rituals that you do, or anything that you kind of have attached yourself to. It's different aspects of life or of ideas that you have essentially attached to as yourself. So there's moms out there. Are you a mom? I'm a mom. It's kind of like I'm thinking about it in like a bubble. Those word bubbles where there's a bunch of words. Some are bigger than others. That's like who we are, right? Like the words that you use most in a year or something like that. I always loved those word bubbles. Now I want to go and find them again. I think they do that for Facebook and like most used words or something. Anyways, but it's just interesting to, instead of just living through your life day to day without really thinking about what you're doing or what you have to do, what if you stepped back and you're like, okay, wait, so why do I drink coffee every day? Is it something that I chose to do? Is it something that my parents did and I ended up picking it up? Is it something that people told me I should do in college and then I ended up just continuing on? That was my case. I think I started drinking coffee in college. And I didn't really like it at first, kind of like wine, don't know. I don't remember what that was like. And I got into the habit of drinking coffee. This is just my own personal experience. Coffee is not horrendous for you, but for me, my adrenals are needing a break. So I'm not drinking coffee right now. And I made this decision because I've been super reflective about my identity, why I do certain things, and then shifting from there. So I've come to realize that coffee actually no longer serves me because it doesn't do anything. It has not done anything for me. I'm like, okay, I'm buying coffee, so I'm spending money. And then I end up getting too anxious, which it doesn't come on like a big panic attack or like, oh my God, my heart is racing. You know that feeling when you drink too much coffee? That's too much coffee. When I would have a cup a day, my body was so used to it. But it wouldn't naturally wake up. It would be like, I'll have my cup of coffee and then I can wake up. But now without coffee, I realized before, that coffee wasn't giving me energy. A little bit of a crash, not really, but just tired in the afternoon, nothing extreme. Like I didn't have any extreme bad symptoms from drinking coffee. But I asked myself these questions about everything that I did habitually. So because I had coffee every day, I'm like, okay, let's talk to myself here. Why do I drink this? Okay, I started here. Maybe I'm not seeing any benefits of coffee right now. So maybe I should try to cut it out. Like, what's the harm in that? Save some money from not buying coffee. And it's just, again, classic whatever coffee, brewing it in the morning, not running to Starbucks every day. Hell no. So it's not like I'm spending a lot of money. It's cheap, but that's not the point. The point is it wasn't serving me anymore. And now without it, my life has gotten better. Like my energy has gotten higher. And because I was challenging myself in who I was and who I am and who I become every single day, I'm shaping my reality, and I've decided to ixnay the coffee nay out of my reality, and it's benefited me. Now, I might have cut it out and be like, oh my God, my headache is never going away. I need this because I don't know. It could have gone a different way and I could have gone back to coffee. It's not like you have to make one decision and that has to be your destiny in regards to coffee for the rest of your life. And that's something that kind of bugs me sometimes about society is like if you choose something and then you end up a week later or a year later or even a day later choosing something different, it's kind of like, is that okay? Is that acceptable? And in a way, I have the sense, I don't know about you, I personally have the sense that you're kind of shamed and you're kind of like, get your shit together if you're quote unquote all over the place or like, just trying out new things or whatever. And but like that doesn't have to define us. And I've clearly let go any fear of judgment about my decision making because what the hell, it's my life and no one can rule it for me. No one, no company, no anything, no outside entity can rule how I am feeling inside. Only I can, and I can choose not to buy coffee and feel better about it. And I really don't, again, I don't care if you drink coffee. I think that's fine. That's great. Most people drink coffee. I never thought I'd be a non-coffee drinker, only because it was like a little cup every day. So it wasn't that big of a deal. But here we are. And another example I'd like to bring up with identity, I went off on a little coffee tangent there, but that's just a relevant example from my own life. But another relevant example of, this is a really good one, it goes a little deeper than just the coffee thing. It's, okay, when I don't know when it was, throughout my 20s, I really struggled with my weight. And I do talk about this a lot on my podcast and in my blog and kind of everywhere because it was such a pivotal part of my life. It was like the beginning of my true adulthood. Like ever since I got my period, basically up until almost 30. So like we're talking over a decade of struggle with my body, and I couldn't fathom myself. Like I couldn't look in the mirror. I couldn't find myself attractive. And I found myself cute, sometimes, but my cheeks, they're still chubby, but I used to have, chubbier cheeks and like whatever. Like it was just something that bothered me at the time. And so I wasn't at that state of mind where I'm now, where I'm like, look at your identity and see what's going on. Maybe it's your personality that you need to change. And if someone told me back then that I had to change my personality, I would say, fuck you. I'm not changing my personality. I can be whoever I want to be. But that was me not understanding that it's okay to change your personality. And it's actually a beautiful thing to change your personality because your personality is not just like one thing. Like people attach on to these identities of certain aspects of themselves. For example, when I was overweight, I attached on to being a little overweight. I wasn't even that overweight. I was just, chubby. And I was super uncomfortable, like really, really, really uncomfortable. I just felt out of place in my body. So I didn't feel grounded. I didn't feel like I was in my body. I always wanted to be out of my body. And that's kind of like ringing a bell for me right now. And now that just, epiphany for me. That just made me realize that right now I'm kind of going through this time where I work to be grounded, to stay grounded and to be okay with being in my body, like by doing breath work and stuff like that. And I have a lot of resistance. And I think that might be why is I didn't even want to be in my body. I didn't want to be in my body for like 15 years. So, wow. Okay. Thanks for going on that little trip with me. But anyways, yeah, I was really upset for a long time. So of course, I did a lot of different things like tracking my weight, going for runs every morning at like 5 a.m., long, like 4-mile runs, And then I ate a lot less. And this is through those phases where I was like pissed at myself and I would just like do it all and not eat that much. I remember I even booked this, I didn't book anything. It was kind of a scammy thing actually. My mom and I went to New York City to get my like headshots and acting photos done. It was again like scammy kind of thing. But I was like, okay, we booked this for 2 weeks from now. So I have 2 weeks to basically like, I remember telling my mom, like, I'm just not going to eat that much because I don't feel good about taking my picture right now. So I'm just not going to eat that much and I'm going to run a lot. And I did. And I don't remember how much weight I lost, maybe 10 pounds or so over 2 weeks, which is a lot for someone that's not huge. And I still didn't feel good in the photo shoot. I look back at the pictures, I'm like, that poor goddamn girl. It's because I didn't treat my body with respect. So anyways, I identified as someone who I identified as a lot of things that I've shifted since. So I identified as someone who couldn't get what they want, never got what they wanted. It doesn't really matter when in regards to guys that I always was after or looking a certain way. I was in that identity of not having it. I identified as someone who desperately wanted to change. I identified as someone who felt uncomfortable and had to wear certain things to hide my body and to wear certain things that or take my selfies in certain angles that like made my face look even skinnier, but no body shots. Like I was really uncomfortable with that. And so I just went through phases. I remember in college, I would do like fasting of just like starving myself for the whole day. But then at midnight, I would eat like a turkey burger. It was so dumb. But I was doing this out of spite for myself. Like I hated myself. So my actions came from the identity of someone who didn't like themselves. It came from the identity of someone who was chubby and didn't look like she wanted to. And I had identified as someone who just couldn't get what they wanted. Like it just never, I didn't give myself the power to understand that I could have an awesome body or an awesome boyfriend. I totally put up a wall, and this is my identity fucking me over, is putting up this wall, not being able to lose weight because I was identifying so deeply with that girl that really wanted to lose weight. Does that make sense? So it's really great to want something and to have a desire and to have a goal. But if you are so attached to that identity of what you're trying to change, you kind of have to take the bird's eye view and like peel off the layers of where these thoughts and ideas and who you are. Like you got to peel off the layers of yourself. So I just saw myself as someone who needed to lose weight, and I was mad at myself because I wasn't losing weight. So I took action from that place. And so I'd start eating a lot, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot how great fudgicles taste. So here we are again. And then I'd gain more weight. And then I'd do the cycle again. I would, eat less, be mad at myself, work out like a fiend, a week, month, and then again, same cycle. And this went on for over 10 years. And it's because my identity was fucking me over. I didn't ask myself the questions that I needed to be asking myself, like, why do I want to lose weight? Okay. Who am I? Why do I want to lose weight? Why do I want to look a certain way? Is it just superficial? Is it just because you want to look better than these girls you're looking at I don't even know. Instagram was not even around at that point at first. But of course we've evolved into more of the social media comparison game, which is so much fun. Oh, it's so much fun. It makes you feel real good. But now, I've gotten past that because my identity is really strong. It's my identity is serving me now. Back then, my identity was not serving me. It was hurting me because I was so attached to being someone who is in lack. I couldn't fathom abundance. I couldn't fathom me being worthy of abundance. And now that's all I know. I know I'm worthy. I know I don't have to struggle. I know I don't have to suffer. I know I don't have to be anyone. I know I can look any kind of way. I know I can gain 10 pounds and still feel good about myself. I know I can lose 10 pounds and still feel good about it. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anymore. And back then I was really, really, really attached. So within your identity, what I recommend is to look at where your attachments are. Like, again, coffee was an attachment for me. It was every day. It was attached to me. It was part of me. I had coffee every day. It was a part of me. That's a part of my personality. That's a part of my identity. That's a very small example. What else do you do every day or don't do every day? Maybe you wake up every morning at 5 a.m. and you work out before work. Maybe that's what your identity is. That is so awesome, because that's a healthy identity. I mean, as long as it's not, done in an unhealthy manner, which would be the Cassie of the past that I just talked about. When you say, and this is something that I would say all the time too, which reiterated the identity in my head, which made me feel even more stuck. So this is when you say, I am blank. So when you speak to yourself, what do you say? What do you identify as? I used to say, I am fat. And my subconscious mind would be taking that as, I'm unworthy, I suck, I'm not as good as other people, I'm kind of last, what's it called? Nice guys finish last. That was kind of like my identity. And I didn't know that I was attaching to it. That's the thing, is it's really hard when you're in it to kind of take yourself out of it, to understand how your brain is thinking and how you are actually identifying yourself. Are you serving yourself with how you feel about yourself and how you think about yourself? It's really important to be careful with your thoughts and how you speak to yourself, because even little things, and I've said this before about, identifying with your emotions. I am sad. Okay, that's literally you telling your whole being that you are a sad person. Instead of saying I am sad, you just say I have a sad part of me that needs some more loving, and I'm working on loving that more. That is so much more empowering and will make shifts much faster than just being like, I'm sad. Where does that get you? And again, like in my last episode, I did mention the quality of the questions that you ask yourself is equivalent to the quality of your life. Because if you're asking yourself really terrible questions like, why am I a failure? Why do I suck? Where's that going to get you? It's going to get you into that hole of depression. It's not going to get you out in the light and feeling all good and healed. Instead, ask yourself, what can I do to serve my best self today? What can I do to feel more in alignment? Because your alignment has everything to do with everything that you are doing in your day-to-day. So if in your day-to-day you're doing these things that are out of alignment, that means your identity is fucking you over, because you're identifying as this person who does these things that are not in alignment with who you really are and who the best version of you really is. And that version of you deserves to be seen. That version of you deserves to be let out of the box that you have put it in. We put ourselves in boxes with our labels. It was the Royal Shaman Makosi, I believe. The other day I was watching a video of hers, and she said the more labels that you have, the smaller the box is that you put yourself in. It was something like that. Don't quote me on that, but that was the idea of it. So the more labels of, well, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that, or, I like this or I like that. Your identity is in all of these labels that you kind of put out there subconsciously and consciously. And that defines that box that you're in. So you don't have to label necessarily yourself. Actually, like that's my message is that you shouldn't label yourself because the more you label yourself, this, again, you're putting yourself in a box. So I guess even just with like sexuality, like being bisexual, now there's like so many different terminologies for and different sexual preferences that why label it? Just go have fun and do what you want safely. Do who you want safely. Yes, please. But you know what I mean? Let me try to think of another example. I'll think of something, but you know what I mean? Where when you have a label, you're kind of constricted to being that label versus not having a label and kind of being more free with how you express yourself. I guess Christian, like I'm a Christian. I'm not a Christian, but this is an example. Or I'm not a Christian. I'm like, wait, am I? No. Okay. I'm spiritual. So because I'm a Christian, depending on what kind of Christian you are, I think it's wrong, like maybe I'm a gay Christian and I literally am not living my truth because of the label of being Christian. I know not all Christians are anti-gay, but let's be real, it still exists. So this is a real life example. A lot of people hide this is a big one, their sexuality, because they are attached to a label, and because they're attached to that label, they believe that they will get judged by acting in a different way than that label says they should. So that's the key there. So if you have a label, it means that typically as humans, we want to kind of like stay in the confinements of that label in order to feel like we have earned that label, or that it is a label that we have won to say, yeah, so that would suck. Like being born into like a really super religious family and then ending up being gay and then being shunned for being gay. Or not being able to have a partner that you actually want in your entire lifetime. Okay, that's your identity fucking you over. Is having the identity of being a Christian and then not being able to live out your truth because of that label. So that's like kind of an extreme example, but this happens so often in little ways with all of us, depending on whatever label you have subscribed to or whatever. This horn goes off. I don't know if you can hear this horn, probably. So often it's like the firehouse or something. That made me lose my train of thought, but that's okay. Just make sure that you are being a little bit more reflective with yourself. That's all I'm trying to say, is dig into your identity, dig into who you are, start writing down, what am I attached to? What labels have I put on myself? What labels have other people put on me that I don't want to carry anymore? Maybe you are feeling constricted and like you need to break out. Chances are you got to adjust something in your daily life, which might be something that happens in, every single day, which means that is changing your personality, changing your identity, changing your habits, changing your thoughts. It really doesn't matter where this idea or where it comes from, whether it's a thought or a habit or whatever inspires you to kind of look at your life. If you're feeling a little bit of a misalignment again, or like you want to explode out of a box, it might be your identity. So I just recommend you take a look there and see what you can do for yourself to ask different questions and understand that you are allowed to change who you are every single day. I am proud that I wake up as a new person every day, and that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. That's me growing and evolving and becoming a better person who is more apt to, I was going to say rule the world, to make an impact on the world. I don't want to rule the world. Actually, I really don't want to do that. That's a lot of responsibility. I just want to help raise the consciousness of the collective and really do my part in spreading positive messages that are empowering, that give you the power and the fucking permission that you don't even need, but this is your permission to change and to be whoever you want to be and to experience something new that you think might look weird because of certain friends that you have or certain family members that you have, I am giving you full permission right now. Go do something awesome, do something different, and see if you like it. Maybe your identity will change, not from being pissed off that you are living in a certain way, but maybe you find new things that just bring out a new identity inside of you, which can be such a beautiful transformation too. It doesn't just have to be like, all right, where am I fucking up in my life? I'm fucking up a lot of shit and I feel real sad. What do I gotta change? And that's a lot of us, honestly. Like, I feel like that's probably the majority of us, of having these anxieties, stressors, just feeling that icky feeling. That doesn't have to be the norm. And it's, I was gonna say, it's easy to change. It can be easy to change if you allow yourself to go through this process with grace and with compassion. There's no judgment that can happen here, because you're not gonna be able to change if you're like, I suck right now, but I wanna change. You gotta be like, all right, I love myself now. We're gonna change through a loving lens, not I hate myself, so I'm gonna change. And that didn't work. We know that from 15 years of me yo-yo dieting, that it does not work, period. Find your balance, find who you really are through finding what you really love to do. Do those things. Don't shun yourself. Be curious. Just be curious about what excites you, about what lights you up. Be curious about your body and about your mind and about your soul. Like, just start asking a lot of fun questions that will get you thinking. Open up a new book that you're like, I don't know, this idea is kind of like scaring me to learn more about it, but maybe it'll shed some light on how I can better serve myself. That is the goal. That is the goal, is to serve ourselves, to grow every day, and to inspire people along the way with all of the things that you've learned. That's what I'm doing here. I've learned so much that I have no reason to not share it. I really just want to share everything that I have learned that has changed my life incredibly. And this is just one thing here, was changing my identity. And again, it changes every day. I no longer have coffee. That's recent. I juice now, and that's pretty recent. You can change a lot. Job titles, whatever, they do not define you. You define you. It doesn't matter what relationship you're in or not in, or what career you really want but don't have right now. You do not have to be defined by what your external world looks like, including your body. You are defined by how you feel internally, and that radiates like crazy. And I saw people that were way more competent than me in high school that were actually had more body fat on them, but I was jealous of them because of how they carried themselves with such confidence. I was like, I almost was like, I want to look like them, even though technically like they had more like of a percentage of body fat than me, whatever. But I saw that the way they carried themselves, and that is everything. So I hope this helps today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and my goodness, the alarms are going off. And I will catch you next time on Podcas. Again, just click subscribe, maybe write me a review. Oh my God, it lights up my day when I see reviews. Like, seriously, it lights me up. And the more I'm lit up, the more videos I can do with this energy to bring all the goodness your way every day. All right, that should do it for now. Thank you so much for tuning into Podcas. I'll catch you next time, my peeps.